In our Market Explorer, we have used some AI data to show the rental yields of the different markets, but this seems to be inaccurate. So we are trying to do better using the AI, and we've been trying to do that. But our challenge was that always the attractive properties are ranking as the highest rental yield, because if their properties is older with the same number of bedrooms, prices are cheaper. But the data will say this is have a higher yield. So we are trying to use AI to filter this out, actually show the good properties for investment.
Today, my special guest, Jae Seok An from AirBtics. What was the journey to actually build your own platform?
There are some reasons, but
From a data quality perspective, like where is the differentiation? Why should people use AirBtics if you've already used a different platform for a long period?
first of all,
How do you make sure that data is accurate? Like, because you're providing 36 times as much data as someone just giving 1 year of annual data, you're giving 3 years of monthly, right?
yeah, although I think
Welcome back to STR Like the Best. I'm your host, Michael Chang. After about 2 months away in Asia, this will be our first live broadcast in a while now. I'm really excited to have our special guest for us today. As you guys all know, data is super important in how we analyze properties, and we utilize all the major data platforms. And today, my special guest, Jae Seok An from AirBtics. He's the founder of AirBtics. And I'm going to talk to him about how his platform is differentiated from others and how we can utilize data to best inform our investment decisions. Jay, welcome to the show.
yeah, thanks for introducing. Excited for this.
We're excited to have you on. So why don't I give you maybe a minute or so, maybe you introduce yourself and the AirBtics platform.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm Jay. I'm the founder at AirBtics. So it's been about 5 years since I started this company. So before starting it, I was a software developer at various companies like Expedia, blockchain company, or Meta. And I was an Airbnb host at the same time. So by combining those two interests, I decided to build AirBtics. So we are a short-term rental data company, and we've been trying to help people to start on Airbnb smarter. So we are more focused on people who are starting on Airbnb. So we have the features like Market Explorer, which will allow people to find best markets depending on like few common criteria such as the like countries, states, locations. And we have a like Airbnb calculator, which you can quickly analyze the deals. And we have a simple market dashboard, which will show answer the three critical questions such as where to look at in this market, is this market feasible, what's the best property types. So
Okay.
that's what we do.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. That sounds like a really helpful tool. But let's kind of rewind a little bit. So you were working as a programmer, as an Airbnb host. What did you do? Rental arbitrage? Did you buy properties? Kind of tell us a little bit about your. I'm interested in your Airbnb journey.
So my first journey started from an extreme case of the rental arbitrage. So I was studying in university in London, and I was renting a room, just one room. And when someone booked for my room, I'll go for a travel for days or weeks so that they can stay in that property. The property price in London was too expensive that if I rent it out, I was able to travel to other cities in Europe. So that's how I started it. But once I got a job, I started renting out bigger properties with many rooms. So I rented out the spare rooms. That's the journey that I had before.
Got it. So you only one property and you're renting out the rooms, or did you have multiple rental arbitrage units?
No, never had a multiple rent arbitrage unit, although
Oh,
I
just one.
helped. Yeah, just one. Yeah.
Your story is similar to Pierre, the founder of Hospitable. His is the same journey. He university, one room, shared it, and it was like, oh man, there's like not actually a lot of tooling here. So let me build my own platform. And you're building AirBtics. It's kind of cool. It's a lot of that's always the commonality to start, and then you're like, there's a lot of tooling here that are missing. Okay, so you started there,
Yeah.
and then why the data platform? Like, what was the issues that you were facing? Were you trying to grow and the existing providers weren't providing you good enough data? Like, what was the journey to actually build your own platform?
There are some reasons, but the major reason was actually I wanted to do something that has high technological barrier to enter.
Mm-hmm.
Building a maybe channel management software, in my opinion, was less technically challenging. I wanted to do something that's a little bit harder to do on a coding side. That's why I
Okay.
chose the data bit. Yeah.
I guess that's one of the pitfalls of hosting, right? It's especially rental arbitrage or just more commoditized product where the barrier to competition is pretty low. In our opinion, buying like nicer properties with amenities, this differentiation makes the bar a lot harder to compete against you. You sound like you went a different way. It's like, okay, well, why don't I build find a more technically difficult problem to solve? So the biggest company in the space is probably AirDNA, based on just some of the metrics that we see out there. They raised a big round with private equity. As you look at the competitive landscape, how does AirBtics differentiate themselves? Because me personally, I've been using AirDNA since 2019, a very, very long time. I would say data quality is pretty solid. It's changed a lot over the last few years. I think it's actually been like less user friendly, but since we kind of know it and it's consistent, we just kind of we rely on that. But I was looking for better tools. So I'd love to hear from you, like, from a data quality issue or data quality perspective, like where is the differentiation? Why should people use AirBtics, if you've already used a different platform for a long period of time?
First of all, our tool is tailored for people starting on Airbnb. So we have some features tailored to it, but I'll get back to that in a bit. But you mentioned about the data accuracy.
I think that's the most important part, actually, because if you have one good comp, that's going to be good enough to go. Like, you don't need 10 different comps really in this business. One or two good comps, and like you're good to go. And I think a lot of the issues that, sorry to interrupt you, a lot of the issues that I have and people have is like, you might get different answers from different platforms. You're like, well, which one's right or wrong? Or if the data just looks a little funky from, like, is it actually reflecting the right number of days? Is it extrapolating it properly? All those things, like, people really struggle with. So I'm actually very curious on this. And I think also address like scrape data versus first party data. Maybe that's a part two of that question. But I think those are the kind of key issues that I hear a lot of people have.
Just like that, we are also having some inaccurate data issues because of we're scraping data. That's the data sources. But there are a few things that we do to at least helping people to make distinguish between should I trust this data or not. So there are things that we've already done. The first one is with our paid plan without any like expensive enterprise subscription, people can see last 3 years of historical data on a monthly level on for an individual listings. So
Okay.
our competitors shows quite general data like last 12 months occupancy rate, ADR, or revenue, but we show user last 36-month data, their occupancy rate, which was a risky move because this will definitely add much more complaints about the data accuracies. However,
Mm-hmm.
we wanted them to be having a clearer picture, and we know where the data inaccuracies are coming from. Number one is the last minute bookings, and number two is the blocked versus booked in the calendars. So
Mm-hmm.
for the last minute bookings, we are trying to show uncertainty levels. So we show like let's say 20%. So the occupancy rate for last month for this property was between 60 to 80%. So we are trying to and that is likely to be true because that's what the last minute bookings could have happened. So things like that, we are trying to address it. Another way
Mm-hmm.
is user can simply put Airbnb listing URL and they can see the data for that so that they can check their property's data if it's correct.
If you're already in a host, right, your numbers, or hopefully. So if you can put yours numbers, that's how we check actually, is we look at our numbers versus what AirDNA or other platforms have. It's like, okay, is it actually right for our stuff? So there's an easy way to do that. I think that's actually a really smart way of doing that. And then, maybe talk about like what is scrape data versus, other ways to acquire data, and, what are some of the pros and cons? Just because I think people like actually scrape data. I think maybe people don't understand what that actually means. If you can talk about that a little bit, let's kind of like go first principles.
So scrap data simply means like our software will check Airbnb listing and their calendars and see which nights are booked, blocked, and which nights are available for booking. And we collect that over last 5 years, and that's why we have the occupancy rate ADR data. That's the web scrap data. Like acquired data is something that you get from maybe third-party software or some actual bookings data from like some other sources. So
Do PMS sell that data to you? Like, can you get that data from PMS? Will they actually give you that, or let you acquire that data, like Hostaway or Guesty or Hospitable? Like, will they actually let you provide the data, or they're pretty closed on that?
I'm not sure about that. That's not the route that we explored it. We're
Gotcha.
much more focused on the publicly available data that we can acquire quickly.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And then maybe can you talk to me about the pros and cons of that approach? Like, 'cause I think people are like, oh, like if you getting it publicly, then is it accurate? Versus like if you have it just from the a property management system where you can actually see the exact rates and price and dates. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that. I think that's something that a lot of you have questions on.
When it comes to the data accuracy at the comms level, the PMS, the acquired data, should be more accurate, but that's not the downside of those data is that it's not a good representation of what's actually happening because it doesn't represent people who don't use PMS, or there are many geographical areas where people they're unable to show those data for. However, we have a data coverage of anywhere there are Airbnbs, even if it's like remote island with 3 Airbnb listings, we are tracking them. So that's the pros and cons.
Airbnb should just have a public API and give everyone that data. That actually would be smart. Everyone can get better first party data. Everyone can get the right data and make a right decision. One thing that we always try to do is we look at the reviews, right? We want to make sure that, okay, if a platform is telling us that there are 365 days of data and it's a high occupancy rate, then we want to see actually there's enough reviews on there to back that up, right? So that's a way that we double check the data. Is there something that within your platform or that can perform that type of function? Because that for us actually gives us much more confidence that this is a good comp, right? If we see that, okay, it's 365 days available, and there's like 80% occupancy rate, but if we see 2 reviews, like, okay, there's something wrong here. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's a really great insight from your side because that's actually one of the things that we are using in our core classifier on whether it's anomaly or not. So every month, what we do is we scrap the reviews of the listings,
Okay.
and yeah, if it's matching or not. So I cannot tell exact algorithm because it's private information, but we do match with the number of reviews and occupancy rate to say that it's a good or bad data. Yes,
Does
that's
it
a
make
very
sense?
good thing we
Does
do.
it make
Yeah.
sense or not? Are there any other things like that can help us better as a user, better have higher confidence in the data? Any other kind of data points like that?
So yeah, it's at least will be much better if they can see the monthly breakdown of the revenue occupancy rate rather than just seeing they made 20K last year versus they made like how much for each of the months. So
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you can think about how you found this podcast, maybe it was on TikTok or Instagram, or maybe someone shared it with you. I don't run ads for the show or have any sponsorships. So the only way this grows is through word of mouth. If my podcast is valuable for you in any way, please hit the subscribe button and share this with someone who you think would help their investing journey or business. Thanks a lot, and let's continue on with the episode. Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point because they can actually see like, does it actually make sense through the seasonality, or if there's like a weird spike here and there, and then actually that's a really good point. And then, do you find that you get a lot of user questions based on that? Because I think that's a really good point. Other platforms give 1 data point, you're giving 36 data points. It's a lot more surface area for things to be wrong, right? How do you make sure that data is accurate? Like, because you're providing 36 times as much data as someone just giving 1 year of annual data. You're giving 3 years of monthly, right?
yeah, although I think AirDNA Enterprise Plan seems like providing a similar granularity as ours, although they're
Much more
like
expensive.
yeah, self-serve app, I don't think they do, at least when I checked a few months ago. So
Yeah.
your question is why are we doing that?
Yeah, I guess like my question is, how do you make sure that data is right? Because that's just a lot more data points. And I agree that would be actually give me a lot more confidence. That actually would be a big reason why I would like take a look at. Personally haven't used AirBtics, but actually like, okay, well, if you provide that, actually it's differentiated. We have the advanced plan on AirDNA, so we get not the enterprise plan, but we get a fair amount of data. But I think being able to see by comp 36 months of data by month is actually a big differentiation. That would give me a lot more confidence in the numbers because you can kind of see, does it actually make sense based on the overall macro trend? Because I think the biggest part is just like the confidence in the numbers. I think a lot of people, if you're listening to this, you know, there's a free plan that you can get on DNA, or just the cheaper, the lower end plan, or if you're using price labs, you can use their market dashboards, or using AirBtics, right? Always the question is the accuracy of the data. Like, can I actually believe this data is right? The more confidence we can have in the numbers, even if it's just like one number, it actually tremendous difference. And I think that's a really wrong approach. You take three different numbers and some people take the average of it. I'm like, okay, then you're guaranteed the wrong answer. If you're taking an average of three data points and there's a bit of dispersion there, then you're actually almost always going to be wrong. You actually want to find like which one's actually the correct answer, or close to the correct answer, and go from there. So even I personally, think about that a lot when I use the data. Like, if you're not comfortable with that, then you have to take a big discount to the numbers, and then that makes the investment decision that much harder, right? Because you're like, if it can do $200,000 a year gross, if you don't really believe in numbers, like, oh, maybe it's like 180, 170, and then it makes the investment decision a lot harder because you're haircutting 10, 15% from the revenue. Um, so I guess, long way of saying, I think that's a really good way for you to differentiate, or it's a really good way for the platform to differentiate itself, because you can actually see the amount of data you're providing is a lot greater than the competition. Maybe talk about just like your data analysis team, right? Just given how big, some of the other companies are, how do you make sure from a technical perspective that you're ingesting all this data, but that you're actually presenting it in the right way? Maybe you can talk about that back end process of your company.
First of all, like as a founder myself, I'm a software developer. So initially I was the one who built the scrapers and like data processors. So until now, like I'm involved in like making sure that they are good time to time. So yeah, I think this will be too technical to just explain it, but maybe yeah, we just use the good software engineering practices. So we scrap it, we put into the like data lake, and we
Yeah.
process them, and we clean them, and we have some like logging and alert to make sure things are not going bad.
So you're on top of it. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Do you use AI? Are you using AI at all for your data to go and try to? Is there an AI component to the platform now?
not much. We have introduced it, but the quality isn't the best. So we are trying to improve that. So, for example, in our Market Explorer, we have used like some AI data to show the rental yields of the different markets, but this
Hmm.
seems to be inaccurate. So we are trying to do better using the AI, like solving the challenges. So one of the challenges we are trying to solve is people often ask like, okay, so in Miami, give me the three properties that's gonna give me the highest rental yield. That's on Redfin or Zillow. And we've been trying to do that, but our challenge was that always the attractive properties are ranking as the highest rental yield, because if their properties is older with the same number of bedrooms, their prices are cheaper. But
Hmm.
the data will say this is have a higher yield. So we are trying to use AI to filter this out, actually show the good properties for investment.
How's it like the life of a founder, traveling the world and trying to build your business? Maybe let's switch topics for a moment. Just like the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's still something that I'm still trying to figure it out about where my journey is heading, because when I first started a business, I was a digital nomad. So I was
Hmm.
traveling to like different countries, living in different places, from like Mexico City to somewhere in like South America to like different parts of the Europe, or Korea, where is my hometown, and all over the places. As the team grows, I found a need to have an office and have something that's more stable. But it turned out to be India for us at this time, because a few developers and like team that I hired at the intern, they grew to be like our core team members. They all traveled to different city, which is Bangalore, which is like 2 or 3 hours flight away from their hometown, and then we just rented an office and been working here. So I still haven't figured out like what my living arrangement look like. But like if I think about this year, I spent some time in Korea to spend time with my family, and then I spent some time in Dubai because of the like corporate, some like tax related reasons. And I spent some time in Bangalore with the team, spent some time in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, just for like some other personal reasons. So still trying to
Wow.
figure out next year and things like that.
Has that been the biggest challenge of like what's been some of the biggest challenges of you trying to grow the business? You got a broadly dispersed team. You have a worldwide business. I would assume your clients are all over the world too. So how do you manage all that with technology and customer service? It seems like a lot to handle. Maybe talk about your team, like how you're built, how you're organized.
The way we grew has been pretty much organic. So we have a like one good marketing channel that's giving us like 250 to 300 signups every day. And we have a product that's self-serve without any demos that's going to be like user will be purchasing it. And customer support are only done by the emails mainly. So it's like few emails that one of my team members is responding every day.
Hmm.
So things has been simple, but we have been trying to do an innovation for the past 4 or 5 years, which hasn't been much of a success. So we try to add the like new data such as like VRBOBooking.com, try to like show the like market share between different OTAs,
Hmm.
trying to do like some different things. This has been not a good success because that makes me to realize that I have to be closer to the customers and have to talk to our users more. So by doing that, we are trying to achieve the like innovation, which is giving like really great value that no company is currently doing because we are not that level yet. We have some good UX in certain aspect. Maybe we have a certain different features that existing providers don't, but we are not providing 5x or 10x value yet. So we're trying to figure
Hmm.
that out.
That's a tall task to do.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to hear that you've grown your business. Like, there's a need for better. I think there's a need for better data in this industry. To be fair, like I think you made a good point there. Like Airbnb is like 80% of this industry. If you can nail that part down, I think a lot of people try to get cute and add all the other. I think you can drive that part down. I think that's like and be able to pull the reviews, and the biggest part that I see that's missing is just like confidence in data, like just making sure that what you're pulling up, you're actually sure it's right. Like you don't need all the bells and whistles. I think that's part that like a lot of people just want more fidelity with the product. Like, okay, hey, this actually is like we're 80% certain this is right, or we're like some of the platforms are already doing that. So that's my one request as a user, just like it'll make our lives a lot easier. Maybe this kind of like let's go a little more macro too. What are you seeing the data for like US? How are you seeing 2025 shake out, and maybe kind of Q4 since we're doing this podcast September 9th?
Yeah. So regarding those, I cannot say anything. I haven't looked into the US specific data in the last 6 months.
Okay, no
So
problem.
yeah, we haven't done it. But since you were talking about the data accuracy just now, like something we are planning currently is we are trying to show the calendar snapshot of the historical data. So
Okay.
I don't know if this might fail, just like many other feature that we tried, or this may work. But for this listing, what we do have is we actually took the snapshots every week for 2 3 years, as long as the property existed. And we kind of want to just visualize that. So that's something we may try. We'll see if there are people who really care about the data accuracy at the comms level, and there are people who just compare between different markets, different sub markets, just to get an understanding. So for the people like you who are really interested about the accuracy, they might find it
Yeah.
interesting.
So for folks that want to, learn more about AirBtics and the platform, what's the best way for them to check out your platform? Is there a free trial? If you're already been using a different platform, like, and they want to give you a shot, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, you can reach out. You can just go to our app. There's a like free version which provide a lot of data for free. So yeah, that's the best way to check it out. Yeah.
So should it be on the like the app or website? Did you go on the website to sign up, or the app?
It's the app, like not the like mobile phone app, but just the
Oh,
like
okay,
software. Yeah, like web
software.
browser. Yeah, you can just go airbtics.com and there's an app that they can just sign up and explore already. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So we'll put we'll put the AirBtics website on the show
Yep.
notes. So guys, definitely go and check out AirBtics if you're looking for just a different alternative, or as you're looking analyzing properties or even copying your own property's performance. Definitely want to check out, and I feel like there's some cool differentiation that you're building out, and would love to take a look. I'm going to ask my kind of closing question that I always ask. Entrepreneurship is definitely a team sport. Everyone needs a lot of help along the way in order to be successful. One of the kindest things that someone's done for you along your journey that has helped you kind of help you build a business today? What's one of the kindest things that someone's done for you?
Or kindest thing that someone did. So first one is the mentorships. So there are a few people who just gave me some advices without expecting anything in return. They're sometimes friends, old networks. It's been extremely helpful because like they try to understand where my journey is at and spend hours to just talk through about and give some advices, sometimes even demonstrate it themselves by how they do with their own business. So that's the kindest thing. Yeah, mentorship.
Mentorship, yeah. No, that having the right mentorship, having the be in the right groups is definitely a huge part. And for me and my wife personally, as we built our business too, just being around people that are building the same product or just kind of built along that same journey. And that's why for us, like we have a mentorship program for real estate investors that have questions on how to use data, find the right markets. You want to be in the right room, and for us, we would have kind of been further along in our journey had we had access to that. So, we want to provide that to the community and make sure that if you need help and want to understand how to use data better, how to set up your properties better, that there's a group, that there's people that can help you along the way. So Jay, thank you so much for joining us today, folks. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to like and share with another real estate investor that you think would be interested and would find this episode helpful. Jay, thank you again. Really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thanks for your time and this opportunity. Appreciate it, Michael.
Absolutely. If you found this episode valuable, please make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when I put out new content on Airbnb investing. And if you want to learn about how to work with me more directly, I have links below on my description. Click on those and let's figure out how I can help you with your Airbnb investing journey.